Hello, moguls. This is Dr. T here. Hope you're all doing well. I'm coming to you with some upgrades today, and I'm just really happy to be connected with you. We're going to make sure we rise up on into our higher mogul self today and really be able to make an upgrade where you can free yourself, where you can just be able to unlock the secret to being in relationships that you can really trust. So I'm really happy that we're all together today. Let's dive on in to understanding how you can really do this. Now, freeing yourself and being able to really unlock the secret to relationships that you can trust comes first and foremost with an understanding of the foundation of how you're going to make this shift. First and foremost, the shift is going to be about coming into more of a mogul self, which is a powerful, influential version of yourself. At different points in my company, when I first started it as a psychologist and started to coach people, I used to refer to this as the adult self versus the child self, where the child self could be in the adult body but still experiencing things as if they were a child. And eventually we came to realize that the adult self, while that helps so many of our clients make a transition into their absolute higher, most powerful self, it was really even clearer that the one who could do all these things, free themselves, unlock the secret to relationships that they can trust, live out amazing relationships, create an amazing self, an amazing partnership with a power couple partnership, people who could build the amazing reality they wanted, their empire reality, their dynasty reality, their absolute heart's desired reality, were really because they were becoming into their highest level mogul self. And mogul means powerful, influential person. So we first want to recognize that to free ourselves from all these untrustworthy relationships that are just full of struggle and drama and difficulty, we've got to come in to that mogul self that says, I'm not a victim. This is not about stuff that's just happening to me. And in fact, I'm a top mogul, a powerful, influential leader and creator of my reality. So let's make sure that we get into step one. Okay. So I really want everybody to just embody that sense of like, well, oh, let me get clear. I am a very powerful person. I am an influential person. I'm making reality happen. You happen to have a reality that is occurring, so you must be powerful and influential. And really coming into that, like, I'm a powerful creator. I am creating reality. And this is what I am receiving in it. And therefore, I'm here to be more of a mogul where I'm creating things at a higher level instead of creating things at a lower level in a lower frequency. We want to create relationships that are absolutely full of trust. They are trustworthy and they get you out of all of the low frequency, dysfunctional, dramatic reality that comes primarily from the programming you have absorbed that is literally everywhere in most places in the world. It is rampant in some places more than others. And you have been absorbing that programming depending on wherever you have been raised and developed and have been inhabiting and who you've been around. You've been absorbing likely dysfunctional programming that doesn't function toward a particular reality that you intend. So we've got to make sure that we absolutely 100% know that when we come into this powerful creator, this mogul self that can say, you know what, right now, this is the reality that's being created. This is the feedback loop that's coming to me. Relationships that are not trustworthy, are dysfunctional, full of struggle, drama, betrayal, and anything other than feeling like a top mogul where you could really trust and be free in the relationship, where you can really feel freedom to trust and relax. So we've got to get into that higher mogul self. We got to be that adult self, right? We can no longer be the person we once were that was programmed into being a child. And this is brutal because a lot of people end up in adult bodies and they are still in relationships with reality that reflect them being more of an emotional child than a top mogul leader creating their ultimate destiny. Now, this is very important. This is the next step, to understand that you are programmed to have those difficult relationships. And there are some secrets to getting out of them, which is to understand that the programming is creating your reality. It's not sitting here saying it's your fault. It's like, but it is, you're responsible for it because your programming is creating your reality. And how you can know what your programming is because all you have to do is look at your reality. That's the programming. When your programming shifts, your reality will shift. We've got to shift these programs and shift these patterns. And that's what my book, The Pattern Shift, is all about. This is how we make an upgrade into relationships so we can totally trust and we can be free and relax. Okay, so we've got to understand that since we came into being, all the way from the time we were gestating, developing, getting created, we have been taking in programming that is a combination of what the universe and whatever you want to call your higher power, the source, God, has been the ultimate creation process, the mechanism that's creating reality, bringing you in. But also, when you come in, you're now marinating in a system. You're marinating in your mom, you're marinating in your family system, you're marinating in the community, the school system, all this shit. You are literally marinating. And you are absorbing and you are internalizing. You're in the milieu, as they say. Like, you're in it. There's no, bubble. You're literally in it. Whatever your zip code is determines your reality. Whatever your family is determines, you're getting the programming. You're getting the immediate programming, the neighborhood, the community, the school, the relationships, whatever it is, your mom and dad's work, they bring it, like their companies, programming, and you're getting programming from the top down. You got the state, depending on where you live, it might be the country, depends on that. I'm from the US, it's like the state programming. I was getting all this like California programming, which is not ideal for someone like me. You're getting the continental programming, right? You're getting the nation, the country, the government. It's all being programmed into you. And let's get real, everyone. It's dysfunctional. It's a dysfunctional system. It doesn't function for the benefit of people to turn out as functional people. You want to know how we know that? Because the whole citizenry is struggling with that dysfunction. You want to know what the programming is that you're marinating in? It's a dysfunctional one. That's why everyone you're experiencing is struggling with some level of functionality. So we want to make a shift in understanding that. We got to go, okay, the programming is creating dysfunctional relationships that I can't trust. Now we want to know what to do about it. And I want to free myself. So we got to be able to go, I'm now going to replace that programming with better programming, with better intentions that keep overriding, replacing, reprogramming, being in relationships with a lot of people, a lot of beings, a lot of systems, a lot of circuitry of your reality, right? All of it programming you. And so if we are in a dysfunctional system of a state or a nation, a dysfunctional system of the world, a dysfunctional system of the school, a dysfunctional system of the community and the town and the state and all of the crap of the neighborhood, of the school system, the mom's family, dad's family, or boyfriend or girlfriend's family, husband and wife's family. If it's all around us, we're going to be in a dysfunctional relationship a lot of the time. So we've got to program this into an intentional relationship. Very, very important that you get programmed into intentional relationships that operate on intentions rather than dysfunctions. So we got to make a shift in that. How do we do that? We begin to put the intentions in as the primary focus for any relationship. We want to free ourselves. We got to be really connected to the intentions. What are the intentions? What are mine? What are theirs? What's the deal? What are we doing? How's it going to flow? And we've got to have the intentions. And if we don't have intentions in all of our relationships, then when we go to have any relationship, be it with a new person in our life, a new friend, a new man or woman friend, a new position and a new role, and new coworkers or new employees on your team or whatever it is, if you are literally marinating in constant dysfunction, and to be quite honest, everyone, if you have even one dysfunctional relationship, which I think everybody has, where you know you cannot trust the person and all the history tells you this is not a trustworthy person based on how they are with themselves, how they have been, and how they operate, what their priorities, values are, how they take care of themselves, how they relate to other people, how they function. Do they grow? Do they not? Are they stagnant? If you have even one dysfunctional relationship where you really can't trust the person, then you're just absorbing that template, and your whole system of reality has the potential to then create more of that. And then you're literally taking it in. You're like, I really don't trust this person. I don't like how they operate. They're not taking care of themselves. They're not going to therapy. They're not making a strategy. They're not learning about anything, money, betterment, AI. They're not really someone you could trust to be at a high level of functionality, even if that's just the minimum bar. You can't trust them because the way they operate, they maybe need to break up with someone. They can't do it. They maybe need to cut some weight. They won't focus on it. They need to deal with some grief. They don't get help for it. If you're in even one relationship with somebody that is untrustworthy, and the way you can just see it in everything that's going on, then you're going to create that relationship in other areas of your life. It's just physics. It's not anything personal. I mean, we could say we love this person, we love that person, we want to be nice. God knows we're taught to be good girls and good boys, and everybody have to be so nice all the time. If you have any of those relationships, this is not personal. It's the laws of physics. If you are in a relationship, sharing energy, connecting, having circuitry with somebody that is untrustworthy, and you can see that in any aspect of them, then you will experience that. And so it's very important to know what you're going to do about that. So you stop taking in that reality, because it doesn't care. Is it Joe? Is it friend? Is it new partner? Whatever it is, it doesn't care. Is it uncle, aunt, cousin, mom, dad, sister, brother. It doesn't care. Physics doesn't care. If you're marinating in it, you're going to absorb it. I mean, it's just really simple. If you're standing in, I mean, just not to be totally crude, but if you're hanging out with someone and they're farting their ass off, it's gonna go into your system, whether or not you wanted to or not. You're literally absorbing it. So, in order to make a shift, you have to understand that your programming is literally internalizing that. And if you have attachments and types of codependent relationships where you stay with people in relationship because of obligation, long time attachment, any sort of, childlike storyline that you have to do something or whatever, and you are in it, you will literally re-experience it over and over and over again. And you'll think, why can't I find anybody I can trust? And why am I hanging out with people? Why do I keep getting screwed over? And it's like, because you're hanging out with even one, let alone if there's more. At least if you're hanging out with even one person that really isn't trustworthy, meaning they don't operate at the top of what they can do, they don't even try, they're not even in the aspiration, and they also don't even care, then let's get out of, let's go to the third semester. Let's get out of your child self that's like, somehow, because you want somebody like that to be a certain way with you, you want to be able to trust, you're asking someone that's dysfunctional and not trustworthy to be able to be someone that you can trust, but they haven't sorted that out with their own selves because they're not someone that they can even trust within their own selves. So we're not going to, expect, even if the person's like, oh yeah, you can trust me, I am there. All you have to do is know exactly how they are conducting themselves. Take the sentimentality out of it. Take the childlike fairy tale, I wish this was this or this or this, and let's get into the facts. How is that person, those people, that group, whatever it is, if it's off, you're going to end up absorbing it and having more experience of it. So I'm really excited for you to make a shift in this because it's a game changer. So we got to get that much more into our mogul self and decide, because this is your life, moguls. This is about what you want. I am here reporting on the laws of physics and how to free yourself and unlock the secret to relationships that you can trust. I can tell you 100% that physics is in action in everything. If it exists, it will make more of itself. An object in motion stays in motion until acted upon by another force. So it would mean you need to do something different in order for that pattern to shift. But say you were like, I want to be in relationships that I can trust. And then you work on that and you go toward it and you're like, I really want this. And you're really meaning it. And even you're in your highest intentions, which we're going to talk more about. And you're just like, trusted partnerships. And you're just so clear. Oh, I love that, by the way. It feels good. Trusted partnerships. Woo. If you have that, but then you keep revisiting the jacked up dysfunctional relationship with someone, when you're really honest with yourself, you wouldn't trust them with your life. You wouldn't trust them with the most important aspects of your reality. And you may not literally trust them at all, but you have some connection to them. You have a history with them. You're a relation to them. Because remember, we're taught that no matter how up someone is, that if we're related to them, that somehow like we're supposed to stay in that reality, which is very ridiculous. No other creatures are doing that. So we got to be able to just be real with ourselves. If we're going toward, like, I would love this amazing new, romantic partnership and all of this stuff, but you're still like, say for example, you are in a relationship with a parent, say a dad, and the relationship he's dysfunctional, he's not trustworthy, and you just can just see. I mean, that's very simple to be able to see. and you keep returning to the scene of that crime, but then trying to get a relationship, say you're a woman at this case, and or say you're whoever, you want to get a relationship with an amazing, trustworthy man, or you want an amazing business partnership, whatever it is. If you keep going and reprogramming yourself into the one that is like now oozing in your cells, and it's just like you're just cooked in it. There's no way. It's not like so to sit here and go, well, these people are bad and they're not trustworthy. It's in your cells at this point. Like it's so cooked in, you've got to reprogram yourself because you're trying to do something better, but then you keep going into the same old thing. I understand. I was as sentimental as they got. I was such a sucker for like I have to literally be there for every one of the dysfunctional people in my family, and no matter what craziness they ever did and how off the relationship ever was, I bought into that too. It's just like, oh, this is just what it is. I wonder why I'm having difficulty in this or this or this. It's like when you come to recognize whether it is any part of your reality where the feedback loop could be romantic partnerships, friendships, coworkers, somebody servicing your company. For me, it was like these marketing companies. I'm just like, why do they keep repeating the same behavior? It's like, oh, because I'm over here in this particular relationship with a particular person in my family. And I didn't even know it was an option that I don't have to be in that. So that gives me a chance to rewire the relationship template, which is what I want us to get next at this point. Because we do need to rewire the relationship template that is programmed and running in you. And remember, it's running unconsciously, which is what happens when we learn something or we program it so much and then it becomes unconscious and we don't notice it. Just like we learn to drive, we have to drive. We have to focus. Eventually, we don't even have to think. We don't even know who drove the car across town. I just arrived here at the store. I wasn't even paying attention. That takes learning from conscious to unconscious. Most of your 95% of your programming or more is unconscious. So it just keeps creating more of itself. You don't even know what's going on. It's so programmed in, you can't even really get a sense of it. And even when you think you do, you have a teeny, tiny sense of it. That's why reprogramming yourself into a more intentional person that reprograms the template of your relationships by only being in high functioning intentional ones, and by the absolute must, no matter who it is, what relationship they are, being in any dysfunctional relationships, you just got to know that where you can't trust, you are just going to experience that. And you can mitigate it through your intentions and just being so focused in intentional programming, trusted relationships and partnerships and creations and amazingness. But I'm just reporting the facts here and the laws of physics, right? If there's a relationship, say, let's just say in your family, you continue to be in it because of obligation or what, or you just want it to change. I know that game like the back of my hand. And it's not. And it's also the person doesn't care to change it. They don't care to do anything to benefit themselves or whatever it is. Or maybe even when they try, it's just not working. They don't put the effort in. It's not about this person versus this person or should. I'm not here to get into that. That's your assessment. I'm here to say that if you want to unlock the secret to being free and relaxing into relationships that you can trust, if you have any one of them that you can't, you need to assess what you're going to do about that, because it will completely degrade and downgrade your relationship template, and then it'll just show up and keep rotating into different parts of your life. And at least you could, know. So it's not like, oh, well, why does this thing keep showing up where I can't trust someone? It's because you're in any form of a relationship and you're basically co-signing up for it and going, this is fine because this person has my DNA. I'll go ahead and participate in this. And then you just keep remaking it. So we need to make an adjustment. We need to make a big shift. Okay. So we got to be in our intentions. We've got to be so intentional for the type of relationship that we really, really want. And so I'm going to say in place of relationships of dysfunction are relationships of intention. In place of relationships or to have relationships that I can trust, I replace relationships that distress or cause stress. In place of to have relationships I can trust, I replace sorry, trying to do the upgrade backward. In place of relationships I can't trust, or in place of relationships that add trust, that's in place of relationships that add stress are relationships that I can trust. In place of relationships that add stress are relationships that I can trust. All right, so let's take it to that level, everybody. Okay, this template is being formed. It's a new one. It's called the intentional relationship template. This is now where the more you are in intentional relationships that are so intentional, everybody knows why, what we're doing, why we're doing it, etc. That is a game changer. So, for example, whatever relationship we have, which may have just been formed in some default mode. You're like brothers, sisters, cousins, aunts, uncles. It's just like default. We're cousins and brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles, whatever. Parents, daughters and fathers and mothers and all that. Brothers and sisters and all that. If your relationship does not have a set of intentions and a higher purpose, every single one of them, you will end up in some form of chaos, and that could very much include being with people that you can't trust. It's not because, and it may be variety of reasons, but every relationship you have needs to have a set of intentions and essentially an agreement about what the relationship is about, what the intentions are. Just like if we go into a partnership, power couple partnership, we go into a partnership to create a business. We got to know, what are we creating? What are the intentions? So say it's a friendship and whatever, you've been friends for a long time. It's still important to be like, what is the intention of this relationship? What are the intentions? What are the things we would like this relationship to achieve in reality, in the world, for ourselves, for the benefit of people around us? What are the intentions? And I mean, whoever it is, doesn't matter if it's mom, dad, cousin, whatever, we have to have some intentions in the relationship. We're not just hanging out in space and seeing what the hell happens and ending up in chaos and wonder why am I in chaos and something I can't trust. We got to have intentions. What is the intention of the relationship? The people in it get to decide. What's your intention? What's my intention? Now, what's your intention? We get them all. Oh my God, how great. Our relationship is about fun, freedom, and flexibility. Great. Our relationship is about bliss, rapture, and great hugging. Great. Our relationship is about Dungeons and Dragons and lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. That's our relationship. Thematically having some set of intentions for it that we take note of. Very important so that you can be free, relax, because the relationship has intentions, and you can get into more again of these are the secrets of relationships that you can trust. Also, very, very importantly, we've got to be able to be 100% authentic with ourselves about what is going on in any relationship, when to keep moving forward with it, and maybe when to make a shift. And people are often, I can understand, I have been there, they can get confused. Like, when do I do this? Like, I don't know. When is it? Say someone's in a relationship and somebody cheats on them and then they keep staying or somebody lies or somebody treats them badly or doesn't show up for something, doesn't give quality time. It can be anything in a partnership, in a marriage, whatever it is. an employee that never gets their work done on time, doesn't have the good attitude they promised to have, whatever it is. I'm just letting y'all know from many years of experience and also with my clients and helping them transform into relationships they can trust, is to understand that when we take out this thing that we've been taught from the foundation of our life, which is to stay in dysfunctional relationships, again, we will have less and less until we have none of them. So that's also the reason why we put up with BS and then it takes forever to be like, oh, that's enough. Now that you've really, 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 really become dysfunctional, I will now make a shift. I'm here to be clear that you have an invitation to know at the earliest point that you know if someone is trustworthy and therefore able to be functional and living in a relationship of intentionality, co-creating that with you. I'm going to use an example that I hope will be helpful, even though I could use a lot more interpersonal examples. I'm just going to use a relationship that happens sometimes with companies that service my company. And I can also track it quite a bit to the fact that I was literally, for a long time in my life, as successful as I was, putting up with relationships in my family system that were not trustworthy, and then recreating that in other interpersonal relationships, and then recreating it in business relationships until I was just like, oh my God, no wonder I'm marinating in it. My primary family relationships are like this. So why would I expect to have any different relationship paradigm? In fact, most people just recreate it over and over again. And so I would see these companies would say, oh, we're going to do this, 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 and this, yada, yada, yada. And then early on, I would see, just like I would see in these other dysfunctional relationships, how people behaved, how they act. I had done my part, asked all the right questions, got clear about the commitment, made some sort of investment. And that investment can be, you've made an investment in a partnership, romantic partnership, you've made an investment in a business, service, whatever it is. And I would see these people almost immediately after they sold me on something, do something different than what they said. And I would just, like I did my whole life, being taught to stay in dysfunctional relationships because that's family. And I wouldn't say anything. Or eventually I would. And then I'd still stay. And then we'd still go through the stupid and now we're gonna deal with it. We're gonna have some big meeting. Da, 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 da. And the bottom line is, that's just like repeating the cycle of where everybody's like, oh, well, you're doing this, you're still lying, you're still doing drugs, you're still drinking, you're still yelling, you're still reacting, you're still not going to therapy, whatever, whatever, whatever. You're still not finishing your reports on time. And then it would be like, I got to do more effort. We're going to have this big conversation. You're going to make a promise and then you're not going to keep it. And then you're going to turn out to do, et cetera, et cetera. And then I'm going to feel like, why can't I trust people? Bottom line is, people show you right away what the deal is and whether or not that is someone that you share a bunch of DNA with, someone that you share a big history with, someone that you share commonalities and interests, or someone that is signed up to provide some service for your life, accountancy, dentistry, whatever it is, or even a company servicing your company. And you get to see right away if they are adhering to what they stated were their intentions and what you agreed upon. Back in the day, I would let this go and go and go. And now I understand it was because I was raised and taught to do that. Not only as a American to put up with shitty stuff, because that's the way it is. We just do this shit to you. We just turn you into a slave and tax the hell out of you, and you just stay in that. And no matter how badly it hurts you, you stay. We're taught to do that with our family relationships. These are the people you're related to. You're supposed to stay. And if you don't, you're a fuck up and you don't have anybody or whatever. And you're just taught to stay in dysfunction. Then you have people doing that in marriages and relationships, dramas, people abusing them. It's just because we've been taught from the beginning in the whole, every layer of the system, deal with it. So I would, and I would be in pain over it. I'd be just like, oh God, these people aren't doing it. Now I got to make more effort. I might as well do their job. And eventually I would end up doing it, which is quite the scam, right? I'm going to pay you. You're supposed to do the job. You're not going to do it. I do it and you get the money. And I could have done it all along. And what it was is because even though I would set the expectations up front, I was participating in at least one dysfunctional relationship in my family, let alone more, out of obligation, out of love, which is not love to me. And then I would re-experience it. And then I was not being powerful enough to be like, you already are out of line. You're 2 weeks in and you said you were going to do this and you've done this. So you've already broken the trust. Clearly, we're not on the same page. I'm going to move on and I'm not going to waste any more time because I've already got the indication of who you are. My invitation for all of you is to totally trust that. I am someone that did not want to be like, oh my God, now I got to find someone else to work on this project or whatever. And it would eventually end up that way. They would end up being exactly the way they were in the beginning, but worse and worse and worse. And I think we've all been there where we've been, say we were dating somebody and their good behavior starts to shift or whatever, and you start to see something pretty quickly. And you get an indication this is not someone you can trust, but you are so programmed. Depending on what country you are in, it's even worse. Again, I'll speak about the US. I was just taught and programmed like, this place sucks. The government sucks. All of this sucks, but you're supposed to stay in it. I was taught families are just dysfunctional. You're supposed to stay in it. Everything was just, you just stay in it, stay in these relationships, do whatever. And it was just everywhere around. It's literally, I was marinating in it. And then I was just taught to let people keep doing that. And that if I said something, these people were amazing at then making me the villain. And that was just happening in relationships with, let's just call it these service companies for my company. And it was all because at the earliest stages, I did not really fully know how to literally just trust myself, the number one relationship we need to trust, and trust it so fully that I could say, with all appreciation for the fact that we've tried this experiment, you're 2 weeks in and you're already doing stuff that's different than what you said in the beginning. So I already have the data I need. And if it's going to happen this early on, it seems like when you would be on your best behavior, in your best performance. Now, I already know we don't do reality the same way. We don't do business the same way. We don't have the same values. We don't care about commitments the same way. We don't have the same loyalty or same agreements of like, you promise this, I give you this, and you do something else. My invitation for all of you to unlock the secrets of relationships that you can trust is to 100%, when you recognize that somebody is doing something different than what they said, and you see it clearly, that even though you have been programmed to override your sensibilities that would say, that doesn't work for me, and you're taught to stick with things that don't work, stick with things that hurt, stick with things that are wrong and dysfunctional from the top down, most likely in any country you're living in, depending on maybe just a few exceptions. You have been programmed to accept that, and then you become the enabler and the co-creator of situations where you will later say, darn it, I could not trust that and I can't trust people. It's because we need you to early on recognize it and make a shift, and don't BS yourself, even though you have been programmed and everyone you know around you and everyone in the world, and when your parents are explaining this to you or that to you or the government or what they're just like, well, this is how it is. And we're just supposed to take it because that's what all of this programs you for. But that's not reality. You can shift it. You can get out of any relationship that is not functional, trustworthy. Any situation, any scenario, any circumstances with anyone, anything, anywhere, any place, etc. It's just a very basic, important premise. And my invitation to you is to give yourself permission to make relationships that are so trusted, that one of the top priorities that you can have, because your foundation of everything will transform because of this. It's hard to build the life that you want on a rocky foundation of dysfunctional relationships that you can't trust. All that does is make you someone that you can't trust, because even when you know it should be different, and everything I'm saying I know makes sense, it's just that you have been so taught not to trust your own self that people go, really? I shouldn't be in relationships that I can't trust? But wait a minute, don't I have to do this, this, or this? No, you don't. You've just been programmed into that, and you know better. And then we say, well, why do I know better and I do this other thing? Because you've been programmed for your whole life since you were a little one to override every single instinct for a higher quality of life, higher frequency, higher functionality, higher intentionality, higher destiny for your life. And that's because the programming is very deep in most countries to have you just accept shit and then be like, I can't believe it. Da, 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 da. It's just terrible. My invitation is for you to make the shift, to free yourself into relationships that you can 100% trust, starting with yourself, implementing these upgrades, and giving yourself not 1 ounce of BS or room to be like, well, that's one that I shouldn't be in, but I'm going to do it anyway. You cannot outrun the laws of physics. If you are in it anywhere, you will be in it in other places. It's just as simple as that. We've all been taught to be very sentimental about this or that or this person or that situation. We've been taught to attach rather than create, flow, and operate at a higher place. We've been taught to just stay so attached that we can't even recognize when something is a certain way, or if we do, then we want to stay with it because we've been taught attachment rather than creating intentionally, which is my invitation for you. And that will help you flow into more of your ultimate destiny. Okay, moguls, way to make these upgrades. It's very, very powerful today. You've got a series of things to implement, and you're going to get in out of your child self and into your mogul self. You're going to build up this new template of intentional relationships. You're going to shift from relationships that are dysfunctional and people are not trustworthy and situations are not trustworthy. You're building this new template of intentionality in all your relationships that'll end up trustworthy. And you're absolutely going to a new level of understanding that when you are first getting the indication and signal and data of how someone, a situation, or whatever it is operates, and if it is not trustworthy and it's the person, the being, the situation, the team, whatever it is doing something different than what was said and told to you, promised you, committed to you, you can know right there, if you take all the good girl, good boy programming that makes you stay small, not powerful, makes you put up with bullshit. And you can just know, hey, you know what? This is what I've experienced. Happy that we could try this experiment, and I'm moving on to something else. Even better, you can set the expectation to be like, here's the deal. I hear what you're promising. I want to let you know if you deviate from it in any way, shape, or form and operate below that, I will move on to something else and someone else, and I will do X, Y, and Z. And my expectation is that you deliver even more of this value, et cetera, et cetera. You can say that in any relationship, any situation, you have the option. You set the terms, you set the intentions, you set what's going to happen if something's different. And by that, you raise yourself. You get to be able to relax because you know, like, if A happens, great. If B happens, I'll do this. It's a game changer. Everybody knows the score. And then what you do is you help raise other people up because their only option is to operate at that level with you. And of course, that's all you would want anyway, because there's no way to get to your highest level in life unless you are going in that direction and not hanging out anywhere in any situation where it's going the other direction or doing something else. All right, moguls, great job on these upgrades. Way to make them. Tune in, internalize them, implement them. My invitation for you is to like, subscribe, make a comment about anything that you got your biggest takeaways from this video and something that you're going to do differently. Put a stake in the ground, claim it, reclaim your power, put your intentions into the world. Share this with somebody who may need support in this area, and let's upgrade yourself, your whole reality, and other people around you that can use that as well, because that helps you build a reality that is more like the one that you want in your own community. All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.